Hello and welcome to the craft room here in my 1902 farmhouse. I'm Alicia with Country Mama Musings, and today we're getting together to complete block 54 for our Heirloom Afghan crochet along. This is the aligned puff stitch. So get your supplies and let's get started. We're going to be using our size H crochet hook for block 54, the aligned puff stitch, and whatever color you've determined to be color B. For me, that is gray. So we're going to go ahead and get started here for week 54, the aligned puff stitch. I'm going to go ahead and start with a slip knot, leaving a nice long tail that we can sew in later. And we're going to chain 26. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 24, 25, and 26. Let's move on to row 1. For row 1, we're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So not counting the loop that's on our hook, here's our first chain and here's our second chain. We're going to go ahead and just enter that chain and complete a single crochet. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to skip the next chain and place a single crochet in the chain after that. We're going to chain 1, skip the next chain, and place a single crochet in the chain after that. We're going to continue this sequence all the way to the end of our beginning chain. So chain 1, skip a chain, single crochet in the next chain. I'm going to finish row 1 and I'll meet up with you when I get to the end. Here to the end, I've completed my final chain 1 and going to go to the very end chain here and complete my final single crochet of this row, row 1. So we have a series of single crochets and chains. Let's move on to row 2. We're going to chain 2 and turn our work. 1, 2, and turn. We're going to work a puff stitch in the next chain 1 space. So right here is our chain 1 space, and we're going to work a puff stitch in this space, not in the chain, in the little space that it creates, this little hole right here. You can see that there. So for our puff stitch, it's similar to what we did for block 53 with just a little bit of a twist. We're going to yarn over, enter that chain 1 space, grab our yarn and pull it back through. We're going to give that a little tug to bring our work up level. And we're going to do this for a total of 4 times. So that was 1, yarn over, 2, giving it a little tug, yarn over, 3, giving it a little tug, and yarn over, 4, giving it a little tug. We have 9 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 9 loops. And then we're going to chain 1 to close that puff. Okay? Now we're going to chain 1 so we can work on our next puff. We're going to skip over this single crochet here and we're going to go to our next chain 1 space right here. And we're going to complete a puff in this space. So yarn over, enter that space and pull up a loop. And again, you want to give it that little tug to pull your work up level to the row 2 that you're working on. So here's 3 and 4. We're going to do it 4 times. We have 9 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through all 9 loops. Chain to close that puff, and then chain 1 so you have a space in between your puffs, and we're going to go to the next chain 1 space. We're skipping over this single crochet, go to the chain 1 space and complete another puff. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yarn over and pull through all 9 loops on your hook. and chain 1 to close. We're going to continue this sequence all the way to the end of row 2. I'll meet up with you when we get to the end. Always make sure though that you put a chain after closing your puff before you move on to working in your next chain space right here. I'll meet up with you at the end of the row. I'm here at the end of row 2 and I'm completing my final puff here at this last chain 1 space. Completing that puff and closing it with a chain stitch. When we finish this last puff, we're not going to chain 1. We're just going to go here to this last stitch from the prior round and we're going to complete a half double crochet. So enter that single crochet. Make sure you get 2 loops on your hook. It's difficult here at the end. There we go. Pull your yarn back through and complete that half double crochet to finish off this row. We started with a chain 2, and so this is like a faux half double crochet. We're ending with a half double crochet. Let's look at what we've got here for row 2. Like I just mentioned, we're equal here at the ends. We have a half double crochet and this counts as a double crochet. And then we have our puffs in between. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 puffs. And we have chain 1 spaces in between those puffs all the way along our row. Let's move on to row 3. Hey, are you enjoying putting together all of the beautiful heirloom sampler blocks for our heirloom Afghan crochet along? If so, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, check out the playlist that has all of the videos for every block for our crochet along, and be sure to share the video with your friends that like to crochet. Okay, let's get back to our project for this week. For row 3, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work. We're going to single crochet right here in this half double crochet, not in between the puff and the half double crochet, in the top of that half double crochet right there. We're going to complete a single crochet. We're going to chain 1. We're going to single crochet in the next chain 1 space between these puff stitches. Not over here, over here. We're going to place a single crochet. We're going to chain 1. We're going to go in between our puff stitches where this chain 1 space is and complete a single crochet. Chain 1 in between our puff stitches where this chain 1 space is, complete a single crochet. We're going to complete this row 3 all the way to the end, repeating that sequence of a chain 1, single crochet in the chain 1 space, all the way down to the end, and I'll meet up with you when I get there. I've just placed my last single crochet and then a chain 1. Right here where we have this chain up to, we're going to place a single crochet there, because remember it counts as a faux half double crochet. We have to have a chain in here because that's how we started down here. So go ahead and locate that area and place a single crochet. Let's move on to the next row. We're going to repeat row 2. So we're going to chain 2. That counts as a half double crochet, remember, and we're going to turn our work. We're going to work a puff stitch in the next chain 1 space, which is right here. So now we've got these series of single crochet chain 1 spaces across. We're going to work our puffs in them just like what we did for row 2 down here. We're going to repeat row 2 here. So right here in this chain 1 space, not the chain, the space, we're going to complete a puff. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop 4 times. 3 and 4. Yarn over and pull through all 9 loops on our hook. We're going to use a chain stitch to close that puff. Then we're going to chain 1 so we have a space in between our puffs. Going to the next chain 1 space, complete another puff. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yarn over and pull through all 9 loops on our hook. Chain 1 to close, chain 1, so we have a chain 1 space. And again, we're going to work our puffs all the way across this row. It's a repeat of row 2 till we get to the end. And remember, we're going to finish off with a half double crochet. I'll meet up with you when we get there. But here is the name of our block, is the aligned puff stitch, and you can see our puff stitches are aligning as we go. I'm going to continue on with this repeat of row 2. I'll meet up with you when I get to the end. I'm finishing up my final puff stitch, and I'm going to close it with a single crochet. I'm not going to do a chain 1 space. I'm going right here to this very last stitch and placing a half double crochet to complete that row. I'm going to continue with my pattern sequence now of repeating row 3, which was just a series of single crochets and chain 1 spaces, and then repeating row 2. We'll repeat row 2, row 3 until we get to about the halfway point, and I'll meet up with you to see how we're progressing. I'll see you there. I've just repeated several times the repeat of row 2 and 3. We're about halfway done here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of our aligned puffs. You can see how they align here. They're not off kilter at all. And for our block, I referred to our pattern, and it looks like we're going to have 7 rows of these puffs. So we're just a little bit more than halfway. You want to make sure that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 puffs on every row, and make sure you're diligent in making sure that you have your chain 1 spaces for each row as well. If your work has started to turn in a little bit, you may have missed a stitch somewhere. Go back and find out where you missed that stitch, take your work out, and start from that point again. Having said that, if your work starts veering out, if it's becoming wider at the top, you may have added an extra stitch. Once again, go back and find out where your proper count is, pull out the work that you've done that makes your work a little bit too wide, and start back at that point. We have nice, neat edging here on the sides of our block, and of course along the bottom of our block as well. I'm going to go ahead and repeat our puff row 3 more times, and then I'll meet up with you and we'll see how we're going to finish off this block. I'll see you there. Coming up here to the end of our final repeat. Now down here at the very beginning of our block, we started with our single crochet chain 1s, and that's what we worked our puffs in. Here I've completed our 7th row of puffs, and I'm doing one last row of the single crochet chain 1. I'm right here to the end. I'm going to go ahead and finish this off here. Whoops, with a single crochet, and that is the completion of our block. So for our aligned puff stitch, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows of puffs. When we measure our square, we're right at 7 inches here and just almost 7 inches here, but by the time we get our edging on, this is going to be a proper square. So complete round 1 of your edging in the same color as your square, then complete round 2 of your edging in the color that you've determined that you're going to use to be joining your squares. Then once you have your edging on, there's only one thing left to do. That's to get yourself a little tag here. Mark on the tag week 54 aligned puff stitch, and then place this with your other blocks and keep them safe and clean until we're ready to put our Afghan together. Well, that's all from the craft room here this week. Thank you so much for joining me for block 54. We are in the home stretch. We only have 9 blocks left to go. Thank you so much for joining me. Until I see you again next time here in the craft room, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.